It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show and a repeat at 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. Saturday morning. The podcast as well. Don't forget about the podcast. And I tell you now, Ellis Gelios has got an exclusive interview for us here at the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, where you're going to want to check out the podcast, full and uncut. Ellis, who did you manage to nab to get on the show today?
Yeah, very successful businessman from Western Australia and the owner of Perth Glory, Tony Sage. He's always a great chat, and he's definitely divulged a lot in the media over the past few years, but a great exclusive for us at Flow FM.
Dan, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Absolutely. I know it's going to be a good one.
Well, let's go to it now. This is Ellis Gelios from Flow News 24 speaking with the owner of Perth Glory, Tony Sage.
Tony, lockdowns, goal fests regarding Perth Glory and state election as well. It's all been happening in WA.
Look, thanks very much for having me on, guys. Number one, yes, huge here in WA. I think one of the safest places in the world. However, with that safety comes a lot of cost, and the cost is obviously our high-profile sporting teams. Not only Glory, but the Western Force as well, and our Scorchers and our W League team, our AFLW League teams as well. So it's been pretty hard on us, but again, you have to look at the safety record here in relation to COVID. So, on one hand, it's been a damage to sport. On the other hand, it's been a public health safety triumph, I suppose, for the government here. But, we're living on the edge. We've done now, our players have done 28 days of lockdown. My CEO's done 72. He's been in and out of the state and he's had to lock down. So it's been very, very hard on our club. But I think we've gone through it quite well. And as you say, Goal Fest, our guys, I think we've got the best front four in the league. With Economides yet to come into that side, you've got to remember that. But with Castro feeding the likes of Keogh and D'Agostino and Fornaroli, I think we've got a very potent top four.
For me, the best side on paper that the competition has this season. I want to just rewind back to the Asian Champions League hub, Tony, for a minute. Obviously, you have sung the praises of what opportunities lie in the Asian Confederation when it comes to pathways that may lead to the growth of the game in Australia. You managed to guide your club to their first Asian Champions League campaign. Unfortunately, it was played behind closed doors in a city far away, and the coverage being beamed back to Australia wasn't quite ideal. Was it a bittersweet experience?
Absolutely. Look, highlight of my whole 14 years of ownership was to get there. We had our first game in Tokyo, which unfortunately I was in Europe and I couldn't get there for that game. We only lost in the last dying minutes, as you remember, away to a very high-quality team. And then hopefully we were going to get 5 games at home, and then all this happened. And obviously with COVID and the way I locked down our the players, we had to send a team of youth players up there, basically. We had 7, I think, under 20 in that squad that went up, and we didn't disgrace ourselves. I think the biggest loss we had was by 2, and the eventual winners only beat us twice in the 88th, 89th, 90th and 91st minute. So we held both. We were in front in one game and we held them to a draw until the 88th minute in the other. So I think we did exceptionally well with such a young team. But that young team now has come back with confidence. And you can see by us playing Joshy, 16-year-old, a couple of 18-year-olds and a 20-year-old so far in the season. And I think, we said 8th, but we've got 4 games to play to catch up with Central Coast. So that's 12 points. If we win all those 4, we could be top of the league. So our position on the ladder now is just irrelevant. It's just getting through these games now.
Absolutely. You've got plenty of games in hand, and when we talk about returning to Australian shores, 9 points so far. It's been obviously a gruelling Asian Champions League campaign. You've had various disruptions as well that you've already hinted about, but a healthy position right now, and obviously Glory fans have so much to be excited about at the moment.
Oh, look, huge excitement. And plus, we've played 4 away. You look at the likes of Western Sydney, Central Coast, and MacArthur. They haven't really had to travel. I mean, none of them have had to travel out west, obviously, for obvious reasons, not even to Adelaide, even up to Brisbane. So later on in their seasons, they're going to have a gruelling run of away games. And I think we've got 2 against, I think Central Coast get here on Tuesday. That'll be their first gruelling trip. We do have it harder in WA, but we understand that, and we've done it over 14 seasons. But now there's an extra team in Melbourne and an extra team in Sydney. They travel only 12 times a year. The Sydney, less than that, 9 times a year. The Sydney clubs coming out to West Australia, for example, or South Australia. But even if they fly to Brisbane and Melbourne, it's only a short trip. So we got a grueling run, but we're there to take it. We won the Premier's Plate a couple of years ago doing it, but that was without MacArthur and Western United in the comp. So a little bit harder for us on travel. And 4 games away, and then they've got 3 games away after the 2 at home. So that's pretty grueling. But come the back end of the season, we'll have 7 or 8 home games in a row. We expect.
Absolutely. You're in a very good position. You're probably the most vocal A-League owner we have in the professional game in Australia, and that openness and authenticity you bring is certainly something all A-League fans should respect you a lot for, considering how deafening the collective silence has seemingly been from a lot of other prominent figures in the game here over the last handful of years. Where do you view the A-League at the moment, truthfully, Tony?
Oh, look, it's in the doldrums. We all know that. And we've been working collectively over the last, 10 years, but collectively as a group for 5 or 6 years now to get what we've just got, which is an independent A-League. Unfortunately, this season it's a bit of a hybrid, so we're still at the mercy of the FA, if you like, with the fixtures that have been set out and all that, and the rules. So, but come October, November, when we start the new A-League season, I think you'll see a big change in many different ways. So the owners will have full control. We'll have full control of the marketing. The marketing for the last 4 or 5 years has been absolutely abysmal, and you can see that in the TV ratings, and you can see that in crowds. Absolutely abysmal. We had nothing to do with that, obviously. We're not in control. Just give you an example. It takes 6 weeks for me, as an owner of Perth Glory, under the old regime, to use the logo, my own logo, on a newspaper ad or a TV ad to entice fans to the game.
It's very damning, and we can only hope it improves soon.
Well, it will change. It will change from next season. Like I said, this season we're in a bit of a hybrid, but that's what the owners have been concentrating on. And I wouldn't be in the league for 14 years if I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. The tunnel now I can touch. I can see the light, I can touch it, and next season will be the start of a new dawn for professional soccer in Australia.
We can only hope so. You did just allude to TV ratings. You've obviously got a say in what direction we should be heading in regarding the broadcast deal that's set to expire very shortly with Fox Sports. I'm not asking you to divulge anything confidential, but if it was up to you, Tony, what is the best way forward on that front when it comes to how the game should be covered in Australia?
Look, the best way forward obviously is free-to-air. Pay TV in Australia hits about 30% of the population, and most people buy it for sport, not for entertainment, because 7 years ago Fox was the only thing you could get for both. Now you've got Netflix, Stan, Amazon, et cetera, coming into our market. So for people that want straight entertainment, they can now pick those channels and not Fox. That's why KO was split, and you've got a dedicated sports channel. For me, as an owner, and this is my view only, I'm not saying this is a collective view of all the owners, I would love it to be on free-to-air so everyone can see it. It won't happen because the free-to-air channels are obviously struggling, and they've picked their own sport. 9 has got rugby league, 7 has got its own AFL. So it won't go to, I don't think it'll go to one of those 2 platforms, but there obviously is the widest coverage for our sport, but it won't happen. So the TV coverage or the broadcast coverage will go on to some sort of platform. I don't know what it is. The guys are at the management level are choosing that at the moment, and they will pick a best broadcast partner. But what I would like to see is a free-to-air, so everyone can see it for free.
Yeah, absolutely. Just switching back to the Glory for a second, Richard Garcia, the manager there, obviously he's done so well to assemble the squad that he's got. Obviously the experienced names such as Diego Castro, Bruno Fornaroli, Andy Keogh, but it's really the youngsters that are stepping up at the moment and putting their name up in lights, such as Nicholas D'Agostino, Carlo Armiento, Luke Bodnar, and Dylan Steins. It's really quite fascinating, the balance that you've struck with Perth Glory this season. And like I said before, fans really should be heading in droves to watch the Glory at NRB Stadium.
Yeah, look, they should. Unfortunately, COVID again, and I'm meeting up with the health minister. He's my guest at tonight's game for Glory, and just to show the impact that their rules have. So they've actually, at the stadium, because it's run by the government, they've actually tied up all the seats. So you can't even cheat and get into the stadium and sit. So if you imagine, if you're a 14-season member and your seat now is no longer available, they don't want to buy a membership. So my membership usually is 11,000 this time of year. It's down to almost 5. So I've halved my membership because people can't get there. The capacity of the stadium is 21. I'm only allowed 9.5. So those sorts of things still restrict, and I think it's the same in some of the other states, and that's why the viewers, the members aren't there. But that will change as the vaccine rolls out. The health minister tells me that over a period of time it will go to 75% capacity and eventually 100%. But it has affected attendances. The interaction with our fans through Facebook and social media is fantastic. We've still got great rapport there. It's just bums on seats is a bit hard at the moment, but they have got a great product to see. I think we're the highest scoring team, or second now, even though we've only played 5 games. So we're entertaining. Richie's been a breath of fresh air in the club. He's been with us 3 years now in a coaching capacity as well as 2 years as a player. The youngsters really have taken to him, and he's really taken to them. And that's why that. But don't forget, we've also got the Sebastian and the Japanese defenders to come into that team. We've been waiting for 3 months. Both of them have been in quarantine over in their respective countries. They're both here. They're both trained this week. Hopefully we get to see them in the next couple of games at home. So that'll really stiffen up the back where we've been a bit weak at the moment.
Thanks so much for speaking to us on the Flow Friday Sports Show.
No problems at all, guys. Thanks very much for having me on.
Ellis Gelios there speaking with Tony Sage, the owner of Perth Glory. And, of course, you can catch that full interview up on our podcast now. Flow News 24 on Facebook, Flow News Australia as well, and on the website. Ellis, congratulations. Well done.
Thanks to the team for ensuring that we got past our technical issues and managed to get a really quite decent exclusive. So, yeah, thank you.
For a very rich man and for the owner of a professional sports team, Dan, what do you take away from that? He seems like a pretty decent bloke.
Certainly does. Seems like a very decent bloke, and he's doing a great job with the Perth Glory.
Indeed, they're going beautifully at the moment, and we will move on. We've got plenty to talk about. We're going to have a look at the cricket. Some very interesting cricket played yesterday in the Test arena and in the 2020 arena. It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show.